Hello. So before I get into the main video, two things actually. Firstly, Slope Jolly, you asked me about the trucker convoy in Canada. Um, I'm sure that's an interesting subject to cover. The truth is, I can't cover every subject that might be interesting simply because I haven't looked at all of them in detail. In order to make a video, I need to know a bit more about it. From what I gather of that trucking convoy, they are of an anti-vax position and they're against lockdowns and the Trudeau government's COVID mandates. I also have to be careful because I made a video on COVID before and YouTube totally misunderstood it. YouTube actually thought I was pushing conspiracy theories when I was doing the exact opposite. I was actually confronting them. So I'm a little bit wary about that because I don't want to lose my channel. I mean, it's absurd it has to be that way. I don't know whether it's algorithms or this kind of automatic response system YouTube has, but it's very frustrating. So I don't want to go there again. So yeah, anyway, that's just a general message to subscribers. I always welcome feedback. I welcome suggestions, but I apologize if I don't cover everything that you might want covered, simply because I can't follow everything at once. Um, but this one that I'm going to talk about, I will get into. In fact, the other thing I was going to talk about, I'll bring up at the beginning in the next video just to balance things out a bit. Okay, this is from today's Metro, February the 2nd, 2022. Today. Racist cops rape Banter. This is the headline. I'll just show you from the Metro. This is today's Metro. I'm just going to read out the first few paragraphs. The report is by Daniel Binns. Police officers in Britain's biggest force joked about rape in racist, sexist, and homophobic WhatsApp messages to each other, then dismissed them as just banter and investigation is found. Now, I'm going to quote some words here which are a bit crude, uh, so bear with me. One, well, be aware of that. It's, verbatim from what's written here. One Met policeman boasted of beating up his girlfriend, claiming it makes him love you more. Seriously, since I did that, she won't leave me alone. He added, now I know why these daft, CUNTS are getting murdered by their spastic boyfriends. Knock a bird about and she'll love you. Human nature. They're biologically programmed to like that shit. That's disgusting. A male officer messaged a female colleague, I would happily rape you. In another post, he wrote, if I was single, I would happily chloroform you. Another bragged about some uniform or plainclothes work on Somalian rats. I battered one the other day. Homophobia included cops calling each other effing gay um, as an insult, while jokes about the Holocaust, FDs, and killing African children were also uncovered. The shocking messages emerged in nine linked inquiries by the Independent Office for Police Conduct launched after a Met officer was said to have had sex with a vulnerable drunk woman at a central London police station. Mayor of London Sadiq Khan said he was utterly disgusted by the findings of the IOPC, which will pile pressure on Met Commissioner Dame Cressida Dick. Her force is still reeling after serving officer Wayne Couzens, known as a rapist, by colleagues abducted, raped, and well, we know that story. It goes into the rest of. Yeah, I'll leave it there. That's already well covered. Um, that's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I mean, what sort of degenerate thugs is the Met employing? Um, as a man, as a human being, if they were talking about a female relative of mine like that, I would see red. Um, and I don't think a warning is enough. I think for that sort of language, particularly about violence against women, they need to be kicked out. Absolutely. If it's proven that they were the ones who sent it, i.e., there's an investigation, and it was proven beyond doubt this is your text message or this is your WhatsApp message, they should be kicked out. As far as I'm concerned, that shouldn't be just a warning because it points to a mentality. And the fact these people think that they could just dismiss it as banter, it's actually quite concerning because there's a power element there. Being a police officer is a position of power. When they put on that uniform, they're in a position of authority. So, to hear these sort of attitudes, how would they handle a woman who's a victim of domestic violence if that's their level of sympathy? They absolutely need to be kicked out, um, and blacklisted from joining any other force. Probably technically those messages aren't committing any criminal offence, but I personally think that the Met has a real rotten core at the moment. Now it's a big force; it's Britain's biggest. I believe it has 35,000 personnel, unless I'm mistaken. It covers 9 million people in Greater London, so it's a big force. And of course, for all these examples, you will get decent officers who don't have that mentality. But at the same time, I don't think it could just be dismissed as one or two people. I think there is a culture going on in the Metropolitan Police force. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in other forces as well, although the Met does seem to be worse than others. Um, but it really sickens me when this sort of attitude is dismissed as banter. You get it to some extent in the military, probably in the emergency services as well. You probably get it in the fire service. Um, I've long said that banter can be used as an excuse for bullying, but it can also be used as an excuse for this really degenerate mindset. I personally would have no problem with these thugs being named and shamed. Let them face the heat. And if they're sincerely remorseful, let them show it. What should not happen is that they're simply given a verbal reprimand and that's it, because they will still be in the force. I think they need to absolutely be kicked out and blacklisted, and hopefully they'll find it hard to get jobs. Now, some people might say, oh, it's just words, it's just words. I take a view on this that even if it is just words, even if they won't literally do what Wayne Couzens done, this points to a lack of empathy to victims. I mean, bear in mind, they are tasked with protecting the public. Now, if this is their attitude to some of the most vulnerable people in society, um, it's sickening. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, a man that would think that Banter is a scumbag, an absolute scumbag, no better than, really, their mentality is no better than some drunk lout that will beat up his girlfriend. Well, indeed, that might be a police officer. Once upon a time, being a police officer was a position of respect. There were pillars of the community. But I think that there's this real laddish culture in the Met, which is toxic. And I'm saying this not as some sort of feminized man. I'm saying this as a fairly alpha man. Okay, it's just a degenerate way of thinking, and I think dismissing it as banter itself points to a very backward way of thinking. Why? Because even if they don't carry that out, it's the fact that this points to a lack of empathy for example, women who are victims of domestic violence. And as for the racist messages, I mean, that goes without saying. London is a diverse city. Now, I've defended the police before when there's been, in my opinion, unfair accusations of racism. But, um, there's no getting away from this. And I think that, it comes from the top. Dame Cressida Dick, she's the head of the Met. She has to set the culture. She has the power to do that. I mean, I could say it's down to good officers to set the culture as well, and it is. But just a regular PC, he or she might well be equally disgusted by reading this, and they know that it gives Met a bad reputation. But there could well be a culture of bullying going on, whereby if they speak out, they then get targeted. So I think these sort of thugs need to be purged from the Met. I think it needs desperately cleaned up. I think they need to be. I think there needs to be a robust inquiry. I mean, that's welcome the independent Office for Police Conduct, But clearly it's exposing a whole can of worms. So now what Dame Chris said and Dick needs to do is she needs to purge her force from these rotten apples. You know, put them on notice that they're going to be kicked out. And I think they should be blacklisted from getting another job. Um, I'm disgusted even reading that. I think it also points to an abuse of power because it just kind of breeds an attitude that we can do what we want with police officers. I mean, this sort of language is what you'd expect to hear from some football hooligan or some drunk lout. But these are police officers. I mean, what sort of assurance is that going to give a woman who wants help? She is a victim of domestic violence. How is she going to have the confidence to reach out if this is the sort of manure that's going on behind the scenes? So I really think that I hope there's a purge. You know, I just think they should be kicked out without any caveats, not put on death duty, kicked out. Usually, I would say, arrest them as well, but probably there's no criminal offence in being disgusting. But if the criminal offences have been made in other areas, as a general rule, I strongly, strongly believe that police officers who break the law should be arrested, not put on death duty. It's one of my biggest issues with policing in general, actually, in Britain and America. I don't think it's good enough to just put an officer on death duty. No, I've defended them there. I think they have a very difficult job. It's a major force. They have to deal with all sorts of things. They have to deal with terrorism, violent crime, uh, heated demonstrations. They have to deal with a lot. But no one forces you to join the police force. And when you join the police force, that is a position of responsibility and power. And to me, you know, um, joking about violence against women indicates a certain mentality. And to say it's just banter, it's absolutely disgusting. You know, um, so yeah, I think they should be purged. And if they are named and shamed, I'm not saying that should necessarily be the approach, because that can get into a sort of vindictive society. But put it this way, I wouldn't have much sympathy with them. Um, I'm sick and tired of reading about thugs in uniform. So that's what needs to happen. Of course, it needs to be fair. It can't just be knee jerk in the sense of, there has to be the evidence. So it has to be clearly, a particular officer has definitely said this, and it's that's clear cut. But yeah, in that case, if it's proven, they need to be thrown out, no questions, no caveat, no second chances. Throw them out.